You are listening to the Tricorder transmissions.
Shore Leave, episode 37, our 2017 holiday episode.
Just what the doctor ordered. Right, doctor? I couldn't have prescribed better.
Season's greetings, everybody out there in listener land. This is the 37th episode of Shore Leave. We're back after being away for a little while to talk about the things that we look back on last year at the end of the year and the things that we're looking forward to next year, and to talk some holiday greetings for all you folks out there and our fellow hosts. So I am Jeff Hewlett, and alongside me is the festive Santa Gorn's assistant, the wonderful Heather Barker.
Santa Gorn's elf.
Yes, elf, yes. Apologies. Santa Gorn's elf, as she's known on Twitter during the holidays.
Yes.
So, yes, the mysterious Santa Gorn is getting ready to fly from the Delta Quadrant and visit all of us here on Earth again. So we'll be seeing him soon, but along for the ride tonight with us are the two hosts of our newest show on the Tricorder Transmissions Network, PoliTreks, and is Mr. Barry DeFord. How are you, Barry?
I'm doing very well, and I take great pride in the fact that I play as Santa Gorn's auxiliary elf.
You do. You did. You were an auxiliary elf this past STLV, and we are very grateful for that. Santa Gorn sends his regards and thanks you. And you know what? Why don't you, as one of the PoliTreks hosts, introduce your co-host to us?
Oh, with the greatest pleasure of all, with the often imitated, never replicated, Mr. Shashank Avaaru.
Namaste, Homo sapiens. I feel like after all that hype, it just seemed like, oh, this guy.
Well, it's great to have you guys here on Shore Leave. I think this is the first time we've had you guys on since we launched PoliTreks. So I'm going to jump right in and say one of the things that I was grateful for this year and I was happy about was the launch of your show on the network. The newest show. We actually had three shows launched on our network this year, including yours. And do you guys want to really quickly talk about what you've done so far in your first 4 episodes?
Absolutely. Take it away, Shashank.
Wow, way to put me on the spot, Barry. For those of you listening, we really hope you take a moment to check us out on the Tricorder Transmissions website. We feel like we are a great complement to the selection of shows that are available on the site through the channel. PoliTreks is essentially a confluence of politics and Star Trek. We look at political issues and social issues and general principles of thought and pop culture phenomena through the lens of Star Trek, and we try to figure out if our reality can be made better by putting it through the lens of Star Trek. Our first 4 episodes essentially have been discussing things ranging everywhere from the spy networks and spies in Star Trek to the spies in real world. And then you have the Traveler, who's a very underrated character, and we went into a 90-minute discussion on why he's an underrated character and what can be done with that character and why we think he's awesome. It's essentially a show that mixes, and then we also discuss the news using events and episodes from Star Trek. So it's interesting, and we have a lot of fun, and we thank you for letting us be a part of your channel.
Yeah, it really means a lot. My starting with Shore Leave was actually when I was painting my deck, and you guys helped me out getting to STLV on time and properly and everything like that. So to know that, just in a few months after that, I would be starting a podcast on this network is a high honor. So it's wonderful to be here.
Well, thank you. And we are honored to have your show here on the network. And we've been getting a lot of positive feedback. I know you guys have too. So I think we're all very proud to be together in this way. And I'm especially grateful that you guys pitched the show to us and wanted to bring it here. So thank you guys for that. So really quickly, before we jump into anything else, I want to throw out some quick statistics about the Tricorder Transmissions and what we did this year. So 64 episodes in total came out this year across all of our series. This one will be 65, so we'll hit 65 episodes in 2017, and we have 255 total for the entire run, but 19 of those were short leaf episodes. Heather and I, 9 of them were our new Disco Trek show, which is beloved by many people everywhere, and 17 of those were Trek Ranks episodes, one of our newest shows here on the Tricorder Transmission Network with the wonderful Jim Morehouse at the helm. So big numbers, and of course we now have 20 Patreon supporters as well, and we love all of you out there. Thank you so much for being our supporters and continuing to support our show. Heather, what do you look back on fondly this year in our podcast history?
In our podcast history, so at this point, I'm going to get personal. Hope you guys don't mind. I posted a few days ago in the unofficial Star Trek Las Vegas convention Facebook group that I've got some personal stuff going on. And I'm only mentioning this because at the end of the day, it makes the things that stand out about the year even better. But I've talked about this over on Trek FM, so I'll just put the news out there because I think many of our listeners know that I had built a house this year with my fiance, and over Thanksgiving, he decided to tell me he no longer wanted to be in a relationship with me. And that is basically putting me in a position of having to leave the house because I can't afford to keep it on my own. So it's either going to be sold or he's going to have to buy me out. And in the interim, I have to live here with him, which is just dandy. But I have spent some time reflecting on the good parts of this year, and there's a lot to be grateful for. The podcast and our ongoing support is an easy one, right? You guys are always there for us, and you give us feedback, and we appreciate your loyalty and your participation, and that gets us through the time heading up to STLV. And so we had a lot of good conversations, which was great fun and everything. And then we made it to STLV, and every year just keeps getting better and better. And our family grew even more, which is just always amazing. It's not always easy administering the group. There are things I've talked about in some of the other podcasts that we've done, like about harassment and some of the behind the scenes things that happen that, it's a job for sure. It's sometimes an easy job and sometimes it's not. But when we get together at the convention and I get to see everyone and meet all of the new faces and just get continued great feedback about the work that we're doing, I see the appreciation that everyone has, and that's just extremely meaningful on top of the memories that we're making at the convention. And then out of this year's STLV, we had some interest in doing a Discovery podcast. And Jeff and I talked about it, and at that time it was kind of a lot. Jeff had a lot on his plate, and we weren't totally sure if we wanted to add one. And then I was like, but we have this great name and this great idea. And I really wanted to do something that would enable our friends to be able to participate. I think that that's something that I haven't seen on other podcasts. Even now, even through the first half season, there's no other podcast that I listen to that invites listeners to join every week. And I know there's some structure, and it's difficult. It's luck of the draw, but we did make sure to say, once you're on, that's your chance. And so that leaves opportunity for others. And it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to my Sunday nights for Star Trek, and I look forward to my Monday nights for recording Discovery. And the feedback that we've gotten there has just been monumental and uplifting. So that was a wonderful surprise in addition to the network. And again, it's just been really amazing to see our family grow, not just with the faces that we see at STLV, but like with bringing on PoliTreks and the success of Trek Ranks. And like it keeps me going, like knowing that I have these podcasts to listen to with my friends. And that's all of our friends, not just Tricorder, but Trek Geeks and Mission Log and Trek FM, like all the podcasts that are out there. It's pretty phenomenal to be able to just pick up your phone and listen to your friends talking about Star Trek. That's a gift in and of itself. So I have been just blown away by the growth of our community, and a lot of my friends that are personal friends on Facebook and Twitter know that I started a GoFundMe to try to help me get out of the house and into an apartment sooner than later. And I have just been astonished by the support that I've received from that. And I'm going to be very, very honest about this. 95% of the donations I've gotten have been from Star Trek friends. Like not my lifelong friend. And not to say that my lifelong friends or family haven't been supportive or anything, but they're not the ones that have donated. I had one family member donate and a few friends, but for the most part, it's been the Star Trek community. And it just blows me away. Star Trek people are the best people. And I've said this before, but man, they're the best people in the world. And it's been really meaningful to me because in my household, I've been told a lot of terrible things about myself that aren't true. And the fact that so many people have, whether it's been a donation or sending me a Christmas card or just a message of support, I know that I wouldn't have that support if I was the type of person I'm being told I am.
That's for sure. I don't know all the things that were said, but I guarantee you they're not true.
Thank you. And I know that. I know that if those things were true, if I was a negative, selfish, childish person, that I wouldn't be receiving this support. And again, that's not just financially, that's just messages and cards and people checking on me. And that I hope everyone understands I'm being very humble when I'm saying this. It's not a brag. I realize just what an incredible community I have behind me. And I think that despite what I'm going through now, like seeing that, it's a gift. It's a gift, and it has inspired me to keep doing what I'm doing. So Shore Leave is still going to be on a mini hiatus until I can get my mental and emotional strength back. We will bring it back in full force soon. And Disco Trek will certainly be back January 8th, the night after Discovery returns. But everyone, you guys with me and everyone listening, just thank you so much for being there for me, because Star Trek in and of itself is what really redeems my year and my life.
I'm going to just throw it out there that say that, I want to thank everybody who's supporting Heather as well. I think everybody who's listened to these shows knows that Heather is a very dear friend of mine. So all the support that you guys are offering her in her time of need is appreciated, not only by her, but by all of us. So thank you from the Tricorder family to all of you who've helped Heather in any way during this time. Wow.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So
sorry, don't mean to bring us down.
No, I think that was
up.
I think that was uplifting. That was uplifting.
Oh,
Yeah, on the
good.
contrary,
Okay.
yeah, that was.
No, Shore
Good.
Leave and Disco Trek are all about the community, and I think it just reflects what a great community it is.
Good.
You could say you beamed us up.
I'm glad everyone knows. I do my best to live as an optimist,
Mhm.
and to live within the ideals of Star Trek, and that's very important to me. And I know it maybe can be sad listening to me talk about this, because it's a sad thing to have happen.
Mhm.
But Yeah, it's just Star Trek keeps saving and changing my life over and over, and I'm better for it. So let's move on to talk about more good things.
Yes. Let's see, Shashank, what is something that you want to pick out as something you're grateful for or thankful for from this past year?
I will preface by saying I don't think I can top what Heather said. I don't think any of us can today, so let's not even try. But I'm going to be very honest, and this is not because I'm on a Star Trek show talking about Star Trek, but the best part of my year was the 1 week in August at STLV. Not only did I make a whole lot of friends, I did not imagine that there could be so many nerdy people out there. Fully nerding out about the very franchise that I nerd out about, and they're not all terrible people. They're most of them are a lot of fun, and every now and then some of them will have a Facebook group where they'll invite people to say, hey, there is a mixer, come and join us. And then you go to the mixer, you sit down there, and there is a 34-year-old Canadian sitting there, and he's like, hey, I'm into politics, are you into politics? And then we start talking. And before you know, 2 months later, we have a show about Star Trek and politics. It still blows my mind. I can't believe it.
That's the magic of STLV.
Yeah. So many of our shows have come out of STLV.
It was just sitting there talking to him, and then we connected afterward, and about 35 Facebook messages in, we were like, is there a podcast here? Can we do it? Should we do it? And then it just happened. And it's unbelievable that came out of two people just sitting at an event, again, hosted by the Tricorder Transmissions. And now we are here hosting a show for the Tricorder Transmissions. And it's the best part of our week. We just sit down, we plan it, we enjoy everything from recording it to dealing with the audio issues to arguing to making up logos and images and banners. It's incredible. That is undoubtedly what I'm most thankful for this year, is not just STLV, the event, but the experience and the people I've befriended.
Wow. Sounds like you guys really caught the podcast bug, because it does get you.
We're very sick.
Yeah. And people, I don't know if people fully understand the amount of work that goes into these shows, but it is really a labor of love to do
yes,
these.
and we are very grateful that Barry and Shashank do everything themselves.
Yes.
That was a big help for us. So.
Absolutely was. Yeah. Thank you to you guys for putting in all the time to learn how to do all of the things that you're doing and putting the shows together fully produced and delivering them. So that's been a huge help. And it's been a wonderful launch. And I'm so happy to hear that you are so happy about it, Shashank. And Barry, I'm assuming you have a similar thing to say.
Yeah. First of all, just in terms of learning how to do the things and just sort of getting all of the bits up and running. Big shout out to you, Jeff, for giving me the idea of Audio Hijack, the program we use, but also a huge shout out to Bill Smith at the Trek Geeks, who walked me through a number of things in terms of working with different production software, what to avoid, what to go toward. Without both of your help, I would have not been able to get to it. And it's turned out that editing and producing is something that I really enjoy doing now. So that's just a quick little shout out here. But I to echo Shashank, definitely going to STLV this year was something, and again, just to throw puns left, right, and center, it was out of this world. And by that, like, I'm driving in a little Ford Ranger with my fiance and our two dogs out to Winnipeg, Manitoba. We're driving from Alberta, so it's like a 17-hour drive. And suddenly my turns to me and says, you know what, you should go to that stupid Star Trek thing in Las Vegas or something. And I'm like, really? And so I had this smile on my face from literally from Edmonton to Winnipeg and then back again, just really looking forward to what I was going to get myself into. And just meeting up, the first person I met was Heather. I just sort of said hi to her in the hallway, and I didn't want to like freak anyone out, so I'm like, you're Heather Barker, and she's like, yes. And I'm like, I really like your show. And then I like ran away really fast. I was like, she seems busy, I don't want to bother her. And then I bumped into Bill and Dan, and they were amazing. And then they're like, you need to meet Jeff. And then, yeah. And then I bump into Jeff and we're chatting out in front of Fanset's thing, which again, massive shout out to Lou and John and Amity and the crew there. They are super people. And then Jeff is like, hey, you know what? I need to go get into this Santa Gorn outfit, and we're thinking about maybe getting someone to help me out. And I'm like, I'll help. And Jeff looked at me like, what? You're at the con. Like, don't you want to go check stuff out? Like, you don't want to like help me put on boots when I'm blinded by this mask? And I'm like, yeah, man, let's do this. And so just being able to just immediately be welcomed into this culture. And I think that's the biggest thing is I had called the podcasters, you guys and Jim and Ian and, you know, everyone, you guys are like the ambassador class, as I like to say, for Star Trek. And you are the ambassadors for the rest of us because you guys do all the talking and stuff. And so to be welcomed into that is huge, and really feeling this sense of community. Heather, you'd mentioned that, and I can't agree with you more. The idea that here we look at the positive philosophy of Star Trek in everything we talk about. And the biggest thing about that is there's nothing pedantic I have ever found from here at the Tricorder transmissions, from Trek Geeks, from Trek FM, from Mission Log, from Women at Warp. None of these people there's never like a power struggle as to who knows more about Trek and who's the better gatekeeper and all that sort of stuff. Everything comes from love. Everything comes from our buy-in to the world, the universe that Star Trek brings is the idea that, you know, we can live in this society where everybody is welcome. Everybody has a place at the table. And though we aren't physically in a post-scarcity society like Star Trek is, in terms of love, in terms of community support, in terms of compassion, we are definitely in a post-scarcity situation among the Trek fandom, especially through the Las Vegas group, the unofficial Las Vegas group. I have never felt unwelcome. I've never felt like I don't belong. It's a beautiful situation, and that means the most to me. So I think to a degree as well, and maybe this is a bit of my politics. I guess I host a political Star Trek show, so I can say this. Nothing really feels left or right, but I really feel like we're revolutionary in that sense because we accept everybody for who they are, despite of anything negative that they may have, and despite of anything that they're going through. They are family, they are friends, and they will be welcome. And so, no, I guess you can't see my face, but also to a degree, note my complete lack of surprise with you seeing all of these people helping you out, Heather. I think that's fantastic. And my heart is warmed hearing that you're being supported so well.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. I hope that no one else ever has to be in this place, or a place where they guys, asking for money is not something that I ever thought I would need to do. Like, I'm the person on the other end, and it just came down to the discussion that in my home where I didn't feel safe afterwards, and that was kind of the factor that really pushed me into doing it. I had so many people say, you know, do a GoFundMe, I'll send you some money. And it wasn't something that I really wanted to do until I didn't feel safe. And I'm just blown away. And it's just amazing that it's Star Trek people. And I have to say that outside of the STLV, well, it's more like within the STLV community, what you said about podcasters, it's something else that I'm incredibly grateful for is the fact that we ourselves are just such a strong community of friends, and everyone is helpful. Like, hearing that Bill helped you out so much, I love those guys.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm the, you know, OG Trek Geeks girl. Like, I may have my own podcast, but I love watching them succeed. And I've been so fortunate to have guested on so many other networks at this point that we're all family. And like the work that I've done over on Trek FM with Amy Nelson and Brandy Chacola, we did a couple episodes focusing on themes in Star Trek Discovery and really Star Trek as a whole. But there are 2 episodes of The Edge, and we talk about very personal things. I talk about what I'm going through now and something that I talked about over on Disco Trek, the sexual abuse that I suffered in high school. And like podcasting for me, and really the feedback and the support that I get from the Star Trek community has helped me to just start talking. And it's not easy to talk about these things. Like when we did the Disco Trek episode with the sexual assault scene.
Yeah.
That's the first time that I have literally opened my mouth and talked about my sexual assault and abuse in high school. And so the emotion that overcame me was not, I mean, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily something I expected. But being able to talk about that and then getting support from the community, doing an all-woman podcast over on Trek FM and talking about very emotional subjects. I mean, the first episode, we all cried. The second episode, we all cried, I think. And just continuing to get such great feedback. I feel like I'm able to contribute to the world in such a good way. And having the support of everyone out there, our fellow podcasters, having that community inside the Star Trek community is just something else that I definitely deserves a mention, because we all help each other. We all work together, and I think that there's competitiveness, but not in like I need to finish first type of way. Just that we all want to, produce better content and continue to improve our networks and our shows, and we all want to grow. And while we do that, we're all supporting each other. And I don't necessarily know that our listeners are privy to that. I mean, they see us being friends, they see us having each other on our podcasts, but the behind the scenes stuff, like having Bill help you out, Barry, that's not something that everyone's privy to, that I think is worth mentioning. So I'm glad that you did that. And sorry for rambling. I just had to say in my own way that the Star Trek podcast community is just another amazing source of inspiration and camaraderie. And I'm glad that you mentioned it.
I have to agree with that. One thing that has always constantly amazed me about the podcast community, the Trek podcast community, is that we're so collaborative. There's no competition between the different networks and different shows. Everyone lifts each other up and helps each other out. And I'm always heartened when they reach out to us to come and be on their shows and vice versa. And it's just so nice to be able to have, people who are creative and passionate about Star Trek working together.
I agree. One other thing that I am just really grateful for, that I do have to make a quick shout out for, is actually just meeting with Shashank and getting to know him better. I can firmly say beyond the shadow of any doubt that he has, in just these last few months of getting to know him, he's become one of my best friends. And I think that has a lot to do with just how collaborative, how much he's willing to, listen and talk. And yeah, I don't know. I think it just comes from that place, that sort of, I don't know, our friendship was nurtured in a safe place, in a safe environment, and it was able to hit warp speed pretty fast. And I'm really grateful for that. So big shout out to you there, Mr. Avaaru, as well.
And I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that, Barry, you really have to stop with those puns. They are not funny anymore. Just stop.
Thanks for bringing me down. Thanks. Landing gear is out.
The one thing I will mention about the Star Trek competitiveness, not to take too much time away, but it's just interesting that the competition is healthy. It's not who gets it first. It's what is there new that we can add to the community. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is very exciting. When we were coming up with our show, I remember Barry gave a shout out to all of us saying, hey, there might be something similar coming up. That didn't seem like a negative to us. On the contrary, we said, how do we make it even more different than it already is? And that opened up new roads for us. And just it was such good intellectual stimulation, and it came from a place of love for this franchise. And I think that's where all these podcasts come from. And it's just nice to be a part of this giant community.
I'm glad that you said that because it's something that I think I can speak for both Jeff and I, because when we've talked about growing the network and where it's headed, we have different ideas come up across the board, and sometimes things are similar. And just, I mean, look at Disco Trek. Look, we've got one out of how many Star Trek Discovery podcasts that are
so
out
many.
there. And I will say that I only have so much time in a week. So I over time have kind of narrowed down my listening to just what works best for me. And that's going to be different from what works best for you guys. There's space. There's so much space out there. There's room for everybody. And just like with Disco Trek, I wanted to do something that was different from everything else. Like, it could just be me and Jeff talking about Discovery, but how much fun would that be?
Fun for us.
Fun for us, but I love the ability to bring in different perspectives every week, and to have some diversity within our guests and those perspectives. So it's true. And I, despite the fact that there may be other podcasts similar to PoliTreks, or similar to Disco Trek, I don't feel like I'm listening to the same podcast from every network. Like, it's always different stuff. It's going to be different stuff. Even with Discovery, where the content of what you're discussing, is the same. It's the same show. You still have different people with different perspectives and different ideas and different formats and everything. And so, yeah, there's so much room out there for podcasts. And, Jeff and I have talked about that, at least on Tricorder transmissions, we don't mind if there are other, podcasts that are somewhat similar. I don't think that any podcast is going to be a carbon copy of another.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. And, for us here, we just want to support growth. And, it's great for us because we get more shows on the network. But ultimately, I think, Jeff was there before any of us here. So I guess I'll make you the grandfather of the network.
Oh, great. I'm the old man of the network. Get off my lawn, you kids.
It's the, since I met Jeff, the network has really evolved and taken on a new life. And it was, for a while it was Jeff and I, and then Ian, and then Jim, and now you guys, and potentially others down the road. And it's a really great thing to watch new podcasters come in. And even, Jim produces his show on his own now too. Right. So it's really great to get to foster learning and discovery, and to see you guys grow on your own. But this is Mother Heather talking, who just loves nurturing all of you guys and helping foster that safe space for you. It's rewarding for us.
It absolutely is.
We're very, very proud of you guys, and Jim and Ian.
And yes, we are. And I will add to that, and I'm sure I speak for Heather as well, that we are flattered and humbled that you guys and Jim, pitched your shows to us for inclusion in our network, that you had the faith and confidence and pride in us to want to post your shows here on our network. So that, to me means a lot. That our reputation and the work we've done and our place in the community meant enough that you guys had the confidence that your shows would succeed here. So that, and Jim's not here right now. I know he's on a business trip. I wish he could have been here to talk about this with us, but that to me is very heartening and very flattering. So, thank you guys for doing that. And thank you to Jim, who's not here, for bringing your show ideas. And thank you to the other people who are currently working on potential new shows for this network. So thank all of you. It's a, as somebody who started this network almost 4.5 years ago, I had no idea that it would ever become what it is today. And big thanks to Heather for being such a big part of everything and helping being the catalyst for a lot of this change and a lot of this growth. Without her contribution, I don't think we would be where we are today. So, I, as the guy who's been here, the grandfather, as Heather put it, I can
Grandpa
say
Jeff.
that I'm grateful now that I'm in my twilight years to have all of you guys ascending and taking my place, making sure I'm comfortable in my retirement home.
I hope you know that in your twilight years, you have trained the next generation of podcasters in this Star Trek channel with the likes of Barry and I. And one of the best things about pitching to you guys was that you both are very approachable. You're personable, you're friendly, and you, just like us, you love this franchise. That's where all of this comes from. And you want to nurture us. You want to encourage people like us who never did a podcast before. We didn't know what production was. We didn't know what banners were. And then you said, the bigger act of faith is you putting us on a website that belongs to you and that you have built over the last 4.5 years. So I'm just grateful that I get to be a part of it, and that you guys took us on, and we get to do this, and we get to broadcast it through the Tricorder transmissions. The fact that we do that is just very exciting to me.
Yeah. I think both of us saw the passion that you guys had brought when you were talking about doing this show, and I think that inspired us as well. And it was the same thing with Jim when he brought his idea to us, and it was just, we could feel the passion, and we knew you guys all really wanted to do your shows, and we knew before we even heard episode 1 that you guys would succeed. So I think thanks all around. It's been a wonderful year for new shows on this network, and all the new shows that we have on this network are all spectacular, and I'm very proud of all of them and all of you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's see, what else? Do we have anything else? You know what? I'm going to throw this out there too, because we've been talking about our shows, and there are a couple of episodes that Heather and I did of Shore Leave that are high marks for me in my podcast history, and I'm sure Heather feels the same way. I'm speaking of several parts of Shore Leave. One being our STLV 101 series that was so well received by everyone, and some of our most downloaded Shore Leave episodes ever. And so many people came up to us at STLV and said how much they loved those and how helpful those episodes were. And we even had people tell us that they went to the convention for the first time partly because of those episodes and the information that we provide to them through the Facebook group. Those were huge moments. The Q&A session with Danny Schwartz talking about growing up with her grandfather, Leonard Nimoy, that was one of the most touching things that I've ever recorded. Heather and I and Danny, I think we all had some tears in our eyes during that episode at one point or another. That was a wonderful thing. And of course, the follow-up where Danny came back and brought her mother, Julie Nimoy, and David to talk about the Remembering Leonard Nimoy documentary. Those were all just amazing Shore Leave things that happened this year that I'm really grateful for. I'm sure you are too, Heather.
Yeah, I didn't pick out any specific episodes, but I'm proud of everything that we do.
Of course.
And definitely the STOV 101. I don't know how we're going to top that this year.
Who knows?
I don't think that we can, but we will figure something out. And I have to send a special shout out to everyone, Jesse Marina, John Krikorian, and really just everyone who's been a guest on the show. And I wish I had a list of all the names for everyone out there, but it's, our shows wouldn't be so great without all of our wonderful contributors. And so we're super grateful for everybody's help.
Absolutely. It's been a wonderful treat adding all of these new guests to our roster. The guest page on our website has grown exponentially over the course of this year, and especially with Disco Trek and all of our wonderful community members and listeners who entered into the drawing and won and got on the show. And we're adding 2 new guests every single week, so It's all been just a wonderful, wonderful experience. Shashank and Barry, any other things that you want to quickly reflect on that happened this year?
I let Barry. Would you like to go ahead?
Oh, sure. So, yeah, just kind of some last moments. Again, was just some of the brand new connections that I've been able to make. We've talked about our friends and how great they are, but also I've gotten some pretty cool. I work really well to the sound of ambient bridge noise of different starships. So my big one, is the Enterprise D. I always like that one. I always think that Data's somewhere in the room working very hard, and if he can work hard, then so can I. And that definitely got me through my master's degree, which I've completed now, and so that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's a crazy thing to think about, but wow. Yeah, all those sorts of things. There were a few people on a couple of different web forums and stuff who've given me their own mixes of their own ambient starship sounds. So like really geeky, but it's just given me the ability to talk with so many people from so many different places, and that really feels great. I very much consider myself a child of the world, rather than any specific one nationalist group. I'm proud to be a Canadian, but at the same time, I'm proud to be a North American. I'm proud to be an Earthling, and all those sorts of things. So getting to get in touch with like Jamie McGregor, for instance, on the episode of Disco Trek that I got to be on. Just a few little hellos every now and again as well has been great. So that would be the other really big thing, is this has really broadened my horizons just as an individual. And I hope other people within our Facebook groups are getting that opportunity too, because trust me, everyone, it is totally something you can do, is just get in touch with people, talk with them. I would say almost certainly you're going to find people with similar interests. So that would be the other really great thing that I would reflect on.
I just wanted to echo everything that Barry said and just bookended by knowing that if I had not gone to STLV, I would never have known that the ensign red color was something I could pull off. So I'm just excited that I could have done that. That was a highlight of the year for me.
Definitely a lot of highlights from the convention, I think. Meeting a lot of new faces, and my new Sanagorn assistants who helped me 2 of the days, and of course Heather and her wonderful elf costume that she brought was so much fun, and that such a highlight of my trip, being able to do that character again and having a lot of fun doing it. And I was very appreciative of everybody's support at the convention. Heather, do you have anything else that you want to reflect on before we move into looking forward?
I think the only thing left is the fact that we had new Star Trek on TV.
Yes, I was waiting for someone to mention
that. Disco Trek aside, I'm kind of speechless. It's just an amazing time to be a Star Trek fan, and I really don't care if you don't like Discovery. Look, I like Discovery. It's definitely my Star Trek. That doesn't mean I don't have reservations about it. I don't think that it's perfect. And I think I've made that pretty clear in our 9 episodes of Disco Trek. But I think in the part 1 of the themes episode I did with Amy and Brandy, at some point I was just like, who am I kidding? Of course, this is my Star Trek. When I talk about Discovery, I'm talking about seeing myself in these characters, and it's truly nothing that I've ever experienced before. I mean, I could go back and say that I think I'm a lot like Jadzia Dax. Yep. But I just never felt the connection of really her being me, in a sense. And when I watch Michael Burnham, when I watch her struggle with emotion and logic and do irrational things, and when I watch Stamets evolve from this kind of, persnickety, distrusting person into someone that is just completely passionate and vulnerable, I see myself. And frankly, when we did that episode, and the first part of that series, we talked about Saru and fear and control. And I've talked about having issues with identifying with Saru throughout the season, because it's hard for me to imagine what it's like living in constant anxiety, like your entire life is living in fear. And my current situation thrust me in a place where every day I am anxious. I have a plan now of moving and being able to move on with my life, but that plan is still not 100%. It's dependent upon other things. And so I truly don't have control over my future right now. And that is terrifying. And the fact that I can sit down and talk about all these different characters and really either see myself in those characters or see people in my life in those characters, to have something resonate so strongly despite anywhere that I don't like what this episode did or anything like that. Like that's really powerful television for me, and that's really good Star Trek for me. So I'm really happy to have Discovery on, and I'm happy to be able to share that with all of you, with our listeners, and to have a successful podcast talking about it.
Yeah, I think that there's a perfect segue into going into what we're looking forward to. I think all of us are looking forward to the second half of the season of Discovery starting at the beginning of next year. So I'm sure if we went around the horn, everybody would have that in their column as something that they can't wait to see. And thankfully, we don't have to wait too long. It'll be starting right literally after New Year's, a week after New Year's. We'll be back in the Discovery saddle for another handful of episodes, and they left us with a really interesting cliffhanger. So we'll be interested to see. We'll be on the edge of our seats, waiting to see how that pans out. But Barry and Shashank, I assume you both are eagerly awaiting the return of Discovery.
Oh yes,
I'm excited for Discovery, and I know, but I might be a little more excited. This is just me personally. You can come at me. I don't care, but I'm fully engaged. Thrusters at full speed, warp 10 for the near future, whatever it might be. The Tarantino Trek project. So that's I know it's not next year. I know it's not. It's probably 2019. I'm hoping it's 2019, but that's something I'm very excited about.
Yeah, interesting. I had on my list hoping that we hear some news about a new Star Trek film at some point next year, even if it's just a leak or some credible rumors or something of that nature. It would be nice to see if we're going to get another Trek film after Beyond, but who knows? I guess, and you know what? Since we're also getting into some potentially controversial things to look forward to, I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm going to say that I'm also looking forward to season 2 of The Orville. I know this is a Star Trek podcast, and the Orville is tangential to Star Trek, but I am looking forward to what's going to happen on the second season of The Orville. I was excited that they renewed it for a second season, so I've been enjoying it a lot more since the first couple episodes aired. I've been liking it more and more since the season went on. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know about you guys. Anybody else out there potentially Orville fans or?
Oh, not so much, but that's okay. And that I think that's the big thing about it is it's okay not to like something and not make it anyone else's problem. And I just on the topic of the Orville, and just there's been a new Star Wars movie that's come out as well that you
can listen to mine and Barry's discussion on PoliTreks at Tricorder Transmissions.
Exactly, and so yeah, I think for people who are looking forward to a sci-fi that they enjoy, that's super awesome. And you know what, I might give the Orville another shot in the near future. But just as it stands right now, it's not clicking with me. But that doesn't mean that I'm some kind of authority in the world of sci-fi, and I'm really enjoying Discovery, and I've got friends who aren't enjoying it or are very upset with it. And again, you know what? Cool, guys. Like there's room at the table, and Jeff, I would love to talk with you more at some point about the things that are connecting you and making you excited. I listen to a lot of people talk about sci-fi all the time, and I think that's the big thing about it is no one holds a higher level on anyone else on this sort of stuff because, well, first of all, it's all pretend, and second of all, it's something that we all personally identify with, and who am I to to tell you what you can and can't identify with. So awesome that you're looking forward to season 2, and I might have another look again later.
Oh, fair enough.
It's a show that I've also tried to watch. I'm a big Seth MacFarlane fan. I've rewatched Family Guy multiple times. It's better than The Simpsons to me. I know another controversial statement. You can come at
I'm
me.
in that camp. I'm in that camp with you.
And I do know from the first episode that he made back in the early 90s of the Family Guy series and what it has spawned, you can tell that he's just like us. There is a real place of love for Star Trek and space sci-fi and the bridge crew and the idea of post-scarcity future. We can see that he philosophically, intellectually, and emotionally connects to everything Star Trek. So I can appreciate people who enjoy the Orville. I just don't think it's something I'll put on because I personally do not think they meld well together. But I'm always open to be surprised, and I'm just a fan of Seth MacFarlane. So I'm happy to hear that you're enjoying that show and you're looking forward to it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was watching it up until we canceled cable. So I don't know how many of the episodes I've actually seen at this point. The one that I left off on was not my favorite. I think that the Orville is written by men for men, and I think they do a great disservice to the female characters that they have, who they try to emphasize as strong female characters, but then turn around and refer to them as bitches and use really the episode that I left off on was the one where the one she cheated on came back.
Oh, right.
The
that
Rob
was not
Lowe
a particularly
character.
great episode. Yeah.
And that episode was basically passing off rape. Being coerced by someone's pheromones is pretty similar to being roofied. The guy knew that his pheromones were having that effect. And yes, it affected both, gosh, what are their names now? The captain and Grayson. But then that episode just, it did not sit well with me, especially after our whole Ash and Laurel thing. And it's a perspective that not everyone would quite understood or saw it that way. But I definitely did. I like the aesthetic of the show. They did tone down some of the crassness.
Yeah, they did.
After a while, and some of the humor became more appealing. I like silly humor. This is going to sound really sexist, but I don't like guy humor. Like, I don't like toilet humor and just stupid humor. And it has a lot in that because it's Seth MacFarlane. But I really love how the show looked. I loved the music in the show. And I liked the attempt at the stories. I know that a lot of people just every episode they point out, well, this came from this episode of TNG and that episode and this and that. And that they're all elements of Star Trek episodes stitched together into these new Orville episodes. And, regardless of all of that, there are definitely things about it that I enjoyed, but I don't necessarily miss it now that I'm not watching it. And I just feel like if they had done a bit better by the female characters who I liked and who I thought were all pretty awesome, then maybe it would be more in line with something I'd want to watch. But again, that's just my opinion.
No, it's fair.
And
That's fair.
it's it's an opinion of a woman, so I'm glad to get that in there. But there are plenty of women out there who like it and who don't have a problem with it. So I'm happy that it's successful. I've previously, like in my household, I was Team Discovery and my former partner was Team Orville, and so I was existing in that world. So I'm glad that there's sci-fi out there for people to watch, and especially that the Orville is accessible to everybody, where Star Trek Discovery really isn't. So
True.
That's a good thing there.
For sure. Well, hopefully sometime down the road, if you get a chance to see some on some sort of a streaming service like Netflix, I think there are a few episodes after the one you left off on that I think I would hope would give you a better impression.
Yeah.
So I think I do think it got a little bit better. It gained some legs, and some of the characters got much more fleshed out, and I think they started to treat them a bit better. I definitely can see your perspective on it.
Yeah.
That definitely resonates with me, because especially in the earlier episodes.
Yeah, like the first 3 episodes, they were just calling the women bitches every episode.
Yeah.
Which I just don't care for. The makeup in the Orville is really awesome.
Yes.
I love seeing all the different aliens and the makeup in that. It's just it was really cool. So, I mean, again, there's a lot that I liked. There's probably more that the stuff that I didn't like was just more impactful, I think. So, yeah, I'd love to continue watching it should I get access to it down the road.
Fair enough.
Can I just give another shout out to another? It's not a TV show or something that's on the electronic visual medium, but I have secretly waited all my life to enjoy something from the next generation mirror universe. And IDW, the comic book company, is doing a Star Trek next generation mirror universe comic book series that I've been following. It's incredible seeing, you would never think that taking Picard and putting a French beard on him and automatically making him a bad guy would be a fun comic book series, but it's great writing. And it's a lot of the people that came to STLV telling us, hey, if you like it, check it out. I did. I put a shot and I was thoroughly impressed. As someone who reads comics on a daily basis, the artwork, the writing, the lettering, the coloring, and just the promotion and the spirit of Star Trek that they preserved, even though they've turned all the characters we love into terrible people, it's just exciting. And I hope the listeners look it up. It's called Mirror Broken, and the comic book series is pretty amazing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I've seen it talked about, and I think it was on Priority One, maybe, where they were talking about the Tarantino thing going on, and that wouldn't it be fun to see like a mirror universe Picard Tarantino flick? Like that was an idea that got thrown out, and I was like, oh okay.
That would be a bit of a niche audience, but I echo that. The comic books I have the first 4 issues, and they are nothing but fun.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to need to check those out. I do love Star Trek comic books, so, and I've been a little delinquent in my reading. I've been a little bit on the busy side, but
yeah. Don't you do a podcast about those, Jeff?
yeah, they're all the old ones. Yes, we do Drawing Trek, which is the
back
gold
when they were really good comics, right?
Oh, they're fascinating. They're absolutely fascinating. Yeah, and joking aside, they are not great comics, as Heather's alluding to, but they are good food for thought. They're a very good bar to measure up what other people who were not Star Trek writers how they would approach Star Trek. So I think that's the most fascinating part about those comic books, and seeing the differences between televised Trek versus what they wrote in those comics. So that's a side tangent that's looking back in the past. So if anybody's interested in Gold Key comics, we have a whole lot of that here on the network on the Drawing Trek show. Speaking of that's something else that I was going to say is something I'm looking forward to is, after all of the growth and changes to the network in 2017, I'm very curious as to where we're going to go in 2018, because I didn't see some of the things coming that wound up becoming shows on the network. They just kind of came out of the blue, and who knows what's going to come down the pike for Tricorder transmissions in 2018. I know we're going to bring Disco Trek back, and I'm sure we're going to be doing a bit more shore leave, and you guys are going to be doing PoliTreks, and Jim's he's on full speed ahead on Trek Rank, so I know we're all firing on all cylinders next year. But I mean, who knows? I know there's a couple of shows or one show in particular that may be in the works, that may be coming. And who knows if any of you out there are thinking about starting podcasts and pitching ideas, who knows?
Yeah.
We'll meet at STLV.
Come and join us. We just ask that you produce your show.
Yes.
Producing is fun. Trust me. Producing is the most fun. And,
it is.
Yeah. I mean, I like getting in there and just sort of even just hearing Shashank and my topics again. It actually gives me time to reflect and think about new things. It's a good way to just even reflect on your own thoughts.
Yeah. It is. And I will humble brag that when you go back and listen to the work you've done, well, once you get used to your voice and you stop criticizing yourself and hearing every and yeah, it pays off. I'm able to go back and just take a lot of pride in the content and my own personal growth, which ironically was something else that got attacked lately in this whole thing I'm going through. And I've always been an open and communicative person, but this medium, podcasting, I have literally found my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And, that wouldn't happen if it wasn't also Star Trek and the fact that STLV is the one place in the world where I can fully be my authentic self, and I don't worry about judgment or offending anybody. I can be me, and I'm that way on Twitter. I'm less that way on Facebook because I have clients on Facebook for my business. But it's just been I keep saying the word monumental tonight, but it truly has been, because like I've said, I've been able to confront ghosts from my past, and a big part of that is also because of people like Anthony Rapp, who used his voice and talked out about his sexual assault, and that's inspiring and that's empowering, and so it's something that I've come to terms with over the last several years myself, and then just the fact that it's in our media now. It's people are speaking up. I mean, that's how we unite and speak out against stuff like that. It's good stuff, and I'm really proud of the work that all of us are doing. And I think that aside from seeing how Discovery plays out in January and February, because we only get 6 episodes this time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Which is a bummer. I'm very excited for that because I'm looking forward to it. It's normalcy and it gives me something to do, which I really need. But of course, I am determined to get to STLV this year. I will find a way. Tickets went on sale today. It is now December 18th. So I think we're about at least a couple weeks ahead of schedule for general admission. So general admission went on sale today for $305, which is what, $60 more
$60
than
more than last year
when it was released last year.
Yep.
And this is unfortunately the first year I'm not buying my ticket the day that it comes out. So I hope that the tickets are still there or don't go up to like $400 or something crazy. But I can't imagine not being there. And so I'm just going to focus on getting there. And I look forward to our even larger Tricorder transmissions party. However, we're going to have to commandeer someone's room. Like, sorry, but the intimacy that we get from those parties is just more valuable to me than having it at a bar. So we'll have to figure that out, especially since we're larger now. But I am looking forward to celebrating 5 years.
Yes. 5 years.
Wow. Yeah, 5 years of the Tricorder transmissions with everyone. And yeah, I don't know what's going to happen between now and August. I know we've been brainstorming about some things to do for the group, and if we're going to do name badges again and stuff like that. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. I actually have an idea that I'm pitching in terms of what I'm looking forward to. And Shashank and I mentioned this actually on our first episode, but I'm a school teacher. I don't make that much money. So I can't afford like an Oculus Rift or anything like that. So I can't play Star Trek Bridge Crew. So to make up for that, I've written some scripts.
Yes.
And what I'm thinking about doing is using my room / Shashank in my room at one point, and we can all go up. So when I was a little kid, I used to play Star Trek with my friends, where we'd literally just sit on the couch and look at the wall and react to like Romulans attacking and then all that sort of stuff. So what I'm thinking about doing is bringing the script to the room, and anyone who's on the STLV unofficial Facebook page who is interested in doing this, I don't know what the response is going to be, but we would do a scripted Star Trek bridge crew. Everyone sits at different stations in the hotel room. You can be in dress or not if you want. You can be cosplay or not, whatever. Like in Star Trek dress. You all have to be dressed, but please be decent. But basically, I would just film it on my little iPhone, and we would make the cheapest Star Trek fan film ever. It has to do with two ships chasing each other in a pseudo post Romulus destroyed Romulan Civil War world, because I'm also writing a pastiche of Orwell's Homage to Catalonia in the sense of a Romulan Civil War. It's called Homage to Glintara. Anyway, so yeah, if you guys are interested, if anyone out there is interested, that would be really cool. At STLV 2018, we could have a little game where we would play that. We would all go back to our childhood, and we'd all take roles on the bridge, and I'd have a little script for everyone. I might even see if I can print off some cool little like Alcars graphics for us to pretend we're typing on.
Oh, nice.
And we could do that. So if anyone's interested, that's my shout out.
I will be there. Barry will be there.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember you talking about that in the first episode, and that sounded like a lot. I adore it. It sounded like so much fun. So
yeah. And in terms of guests coming, like obviously Heather, Jeff, you guys are going to have to be on our show pretty soon. We're that's just the long and short of it. Obviously, yes. With busyness and stuff like that, and Disco Trek coming back, obviously we'll work at it. Jim Morehouse, big shout out to you, buddy. I still owe you an essay. I remembered that just recently, that I owe you an essay on my top TNG episodes for when you're stranded on a desert island. I live in the middle of nowhere. In like I am on Deep Space Nine, basically. I did the northwestern part of Alberta. The sun went down at 4:00. I live in nowhere. So what TNG episodes are big for me. Obviously, I'd love to we're going to try to get some authors on, some political thinkers, a few friends, and then maybe some other podcasters from other podcast groups as well. So those are other things I'm looking forward to. But yeah, a little shout out on STLV playing in our hotel room, playing Star Trek Bridge Crew without any Oculus Rift or anything, just with scripts and having some fun.
And apart from the guests, every time we record, we realize that either one of us comes up with one idea that we realize we have to spend 2 hours just to discuss this and make it an episode. So coming up Christmas, we thought it'll be fun to discuss holidays in Star Trek and what all religious occasions and social occasions were celebrated in like the festival that the Bajorans celebrate. Just taking things like that and connecting them to our world. And as we get closer to mid-year next year, we also plan to do some joke episodes where for the April Fool's Day, we will do a mirror episode where Barry becomes Shashank Avaaru and Shashank Avaaru becomes Barry DeFord.
I have been given permission to put on a strong Hyderabad Indian accent, and we'll save this for now, but let me just say, Shashank one time spoke to me in his North American accent, and I thought it was somebody else.
Oh, wow.
I cannot wait to get that out on the air. It is going to be incredible. Just every time we get together, we realize, wait, we really need to discuss this because there is so much untapped potential of the world that we're in and the ideas that are waiting to be talked about. So we have lots of good stuff for you guys, and thank you for supporting us. And I hope you keep listening to us and keep going along with our craziness. And just to reiterate what Barry said, please come join us. We will be sitting in couches pretending to be part of the bridge crew. I am more than happy to be the red shirt guy who dies in every episode. I am totally okay with it. Just as long as we have as many people as possible, this will be a lot of fun.
We may have to Facebook Live it for the group. We meant to do that this past year with some stuff and never figured it out. But this sounds like the time to do it.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, this sounds like a great idea. I'm looking forward to seeing this play out. It's going to be very cool. All right. Anything else? Anybody wants to throw out something that you're looking forward to? Obviously, everyone's going to say STLV as well. But Heather, anything else?
No, I mean I'm looking forward to moving. I am yeah, I'm looking forward to a better year, and that year will include Star Trek Discovery and STLV and who knows what else. Um, our family continues to grow, and I think everyone knows that my Star Trek family means the world to me. So I'm gonna just shut up before I start crying.
Oh, well, we are glad that you're a part of our family too, Heather. And I think all of us are looking forward to you being in a better place, in a better time. So I think we're all looking forward to you getting out and moving and getting into your own place and being in a better place. So,
Yeah.
As diehard fans of Deep Space Nine, I think both Barry and I are very excited that 2018 is the 25th anniversary of the show.
Mhm.
So we're really hoping we can make it very Deep Space Nine heavy, and we just look forward to hopefully getting What We Left Behind, which is the documentary that's still being produced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will
We know
happen.
we know that ended up in hiatus, but I really hope it turns out this year, the upcoming year, and we get to listen to it and watch it and enjoy it. It's just exciting to be a part of the community as a brown foreign guy in America. It's just wonderful to know that there is such a large group of people that will accommodate you and welcome you into their lives and make you part of their living rooms just because you love the same thing they love. There is something magical about that, and that transcends franchises and the and friends and podcasts. And I'm just very grateful to be a part of it, and I'm glad Barry and I get to do this, and it's just incredible. And I'm looking forward to 2018 with less audio issues and less ums and ahs on our podcast.
Yeah, so I think everybody's New Year's resolution is less ums and
Yeah.
uhs. So hard to squash all those, isn't it?
You know, I am the great hunter. I find them the little audacities, I call them sound slugs, and I can usually find them and I cut them out. So
Yeah.
What's the name of our band, Barry? That came out of the little
I can't remember now.
the synthwave city skyline.
Oh yeah.
When you look at it, when you look at an on the podcast production cycle, it looks like a pink city from a synthwave album cover. And we decided if our ums get too much, we'll just start a band called Synthwave Skyline City View, and we'll just make that picture of us saying in the podcast production software our album cover.
I think for me, I've gotten to the point where I can visually identify multiple people's ums in a waveform. I can look at them and say, "Hey, oh, that's one of my ums. Oh, that's a Heather Oh, that's an Ian I know they all look different because everyone says them different ways. So
I have now moved on from criticizing my ums and yeahs to criticizing the fact that I laugh a lot. Like it's like I don't know if it's like nervous giggle, but I do this weird like laugh, and I'm like, why am I laughing there? Like, do people think I'm a wacko because I'm laughing when I say that? It's yeah. I figure I'll always find something to pick apart about my
I don't know if
podcast.
I've ever noticed that before.
Now you will.
Now I'm going to have to look for that, but I don't recall noticing that before. Interesting.
There was one podcast where I said like 50 times, and a friend had told me they were listening, and I'd sent him a note, and I'm like, okay, tell me when you're done because I've got to ask you this question. And I was like, how many times did I say And he's like, didn't notice it at all. I was like, yes, I noticed it. But again, it's because we're just all critical of ourselves. At least I've gotten to where I can listen to my voice and not like cringe the whole time. So yeah.
That's a hard hurdle to get over. I had a tough time with that myself for a long time. But I guess we all grow and evolve as podcasters since we've all been doing this for a while now. And, I've listened to many podcasts from, professional networks that, make tons of money and have millions of listeners. And there's just as many ums and uhs and awkward pauses and stammers in those as there are in these fan podcasts like the ones we do. So
yep.
I think if the big guys can do it and make money doing it, I don't think it's a big deal for us.
Certainly not.
Yeah. So I guess that wraps this up. I guess, I want to take a quick moment before we close the show up to go around and, give us some holiday wishes to our listeners and our Trek family out there. And last year, I know we didn't do a Christmas episode. Somehow we missed that, but the year before we did. And I guess this is going to serve as our Christmas episode this year, Christmas and New Year's. So, happy holidays and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of our listeners and supporters, and our especially our Patreon supporters. Thank you all for being a part of this journey with us. And I know I'm flattered and humbled to see all the downloads that we get, and to hear the feedback on social media, and talk to people who listen to the shows, and all the people in the Facebook group, the unofficial Facebook group, and all the wonderful things you guys say about Shore Leave and Disco Trek. And it's all been very heartwarming, and it's been a wonderful year for feedback, and just getting to know more of you at the convention. It just makes all of this so worth it to know that you're all out there, and all the love you have for us. So thank you for all of that, and the happiest of holidays. Heather, do you want to throw any greetings out?
I just had an idea. And I don't know if anyone will do it, because we always ask people to call in and leave messages and no one does.
Oh, yeah.
But
we get one occasionally for Trek Ranks here and there.
Yeah. Yay, Trek Ranks. But if anyone is listening and wants to call and leave a 2-minute or less message with
great idea,
either their holiday greeting or New Year greeting, what they loved about this year, what they're looking forward to for next year. What's the number, Jeff?
It is 609-512-LLAP. That's 5527, by the way.
So call that number, leave us a message, and sometime, I don't know when because Jeff is busy, but we will compile all of those greetings together and release that either as its own episode, or we'll tag it onto the end of another episode somewhere on the network, I guess. But it would be great if enough people called in and left messages that we could make a quick episode out of it. So that's my idea there. I don't think I can express my gratitude any more than I already have, especially without crying. Man, y'all are the best, and we appreciate everyone out there. I hope that everyone has a safe and happy holiday season and a wonderful new year. We get more new Star Trek, and we're definitely going to get Star Trek news. I don't know what it will be. We're going to see Discovery people at STLV. Mm-hmm. So, that's really fun. They're adding on guests, every week. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a great party. We're going to watch our family grow. And we hope that everyone makes it. We've got, I'm so mad that 5-Year Mission won't be there. So fan sets, please, I am begging you, please invite them to come play at your party. That's my Christmas wish. I'm just saying. So happy to see our friends. Creation, boo on you. Bah humbug. Bah humbug. At least if you're not going to have 5-Year Mission, have our friends Sci-Fried, have somebody that is, in the fan base community that does a good job. I wasn't impressed with the Sons of Kirk, and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. But I really want to see my buddies, and they've got a new album coming out and new music for us. So please, Star Trek gods, make that happen.
So you mean the wormhole aliens?
Yes, wormhole aliens, please. I just, if that's the one thing I could wish for 2018, it would be to get to see our friends. Yeah. Because we love them and we miss them and want to see them. So yeah, we hope that we see everybody at STLV, and we're sad about the people who we know won't be there, but we'll see you the next year. And I know that we'll see you on the interwebs.
Yes, absolutely. Shashank, any holiday wishes for the people out there?
Happy Hanukkah, happy Orville new episode day, happy whatever you celebrate. Just be excellent to each other and send out good vibes and just have good thoughts and be nice to everyone. And just it's okay to read comic books. Comic books are for adults also. So go out and seek some Star Trek comics out. Just enjoy what you enjoy, and I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know for one of my resolutions this year will be to get more ums and ahs so I can make production difficult for Barry. So I am well on my way for all PoliTreks ums and ahs, and I hope that you all have resolutions and you all achieve it or do your best to get there too.
All right, Barry, you want to close it up?
Oh, my pleasure. Well, first of all, I am it's like Duck Hunt with ums and ahs for sure. What was that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And so
It was a nice sound effect though for Duck Hunt.
Yeah. No, here we are. No, my biggest wish for everyone is just to definitely have a safe season. This is always a time when people are moving around a lot, going places, being on the road, all of those things. Be proactive, make good choices, have an escape route, know where you're going, know what you're doing, and be sure you're with people you love. So that would be the big piece. And then I'm going to echo Heather as well. I would be big on a Kickstarter or something to get 5-year mission at the Fanset / Trek Geeks party. It's going to be at a bigger venue, and nothing says big venue like doing something like that. I would more than happily push for that on my end too. I think we would be losing something if we didn't have those guys there as well. So that would be my Christmas wish as well. So fingers crossed, Santa Gorn will bring that for us as well.
Well, he will certainly try. So, all right, guys, this has been a very fun conversation. I'm glad we were able to get to do this before the Christmas holiday comes, and look for us to come back with Disco Trek right after the new year. Thanks as always for listening. And, we'll mention again, we did mention patrons earlier, and we do have a Patreon page. It's at patreon.com/the Tricorder Transmissions, or you can go to our website, thetricordertransmissions.com, or shoreleavepodcast.com, and click on the orange Patreon link on the right-hand side, and you'll be taken there. If you would be so kind as to support us, we would really appreciate it. Thank you to all of our supporters again for their generous support. We really, really appreciate it. So I guess that brings episode 37 of Shore Leave to a close. As on our way out, let's go around and get our social media contacts. Heather Barker, where can people find you?
I am LLA Posper on Twitter. Our shows are Shore Leave and Disco_Trek. Tricorder is Tricorder Show. And then Jeff and I are admins of the unofficial Star Trek Las Vegas convention group on Facebook, along with our great friend Jesse. And you can find us both there. Please pop over, join the group, become part of our family. You will be assimilated, and it's awesome.
It is very awesome. Barry, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter at Bjorn DeFjord. That is BJORNDEFJORD on Twitter. And then on Facebook, definitely hit me up on the PoliTreks page, looking for some love there. And I'm generally not findable to a degree on Facebook just due to being a teacher, but if you do find me there, you can say hello. I normally don't friend unless I met you, but definitely feel free to message me and talk to me on Twitter.
All right, and Shashank.
You can follow us on @PoliTreks. That's POLITREKS on Twitter. We post everything from Space Cat joke memes to insightful thoughts about what's going on in the world to Christmas greetings from Santa Gorn. We have it all. Make sure you follow us. And if you're really looking, you can find me on Twitter at Shashank Avaaru. That's SHASHANKAVVARU. Yes, that's a long Twitter name, and no, nobody took it.
Awesome. So thanks again to everybody out there for listening. Have a happy and safe holiday, and we will see you all in the new year here on Shore Leave and the Tricorder Transmissions Network.
Hi there, thanks again for listening. If you're cruising the galaxy looking for even more Trek talk, why not visit our good friends Bill and Dan over at TrekGeeks.com? They've got a great podcast that covers a wide range of Star Trek topics, so you're sure to find something you'll love. And if you're in the mood for some awesome tunes, then you really need to head over to 5yearmission.net. The guys are writing a song for every episode of the original series, and each one is absolutely brilliant. So that's TrekGeeks.com and 5yearmission.net. Check them out today.